Test. Allora, pensare. Hello. All right. Should we get started? All right, everyone. I think we're about ready to get started with this year's annual conference. Thanks, everyone, for coming and being on time. It's great to see so many people here again, and I'm sure more will filter in as we go. I'm going to start us off for today. My name is Max. I think a lot of you have met me before. I'm our communications director for the HISP Center at the University of Oslo. And I'll be opening the conference along with Ola, and we'll lead you all through some just logistics to start, and then start welcoming the various people who are here with us this year. So to get us started, turn this on. So first, just a few notes about the agenda. There are 4 days, and which is similar to what we've done in the past. There are some important changes this year that we've introduced to make it more engaging, to make it more flexible for everyone. We still have the same basic structure as previous years, where we have plenary sessions in the mornings the first 3 days, and in the afternoon on Friday before we go for our party at the end. And we have parallel sessions in the afternoons on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then in the morning on Friday. We do have longer breaks this year. That's a big change. We know people like to mingle and network while you're here, so we made the coffee breaks a bit longer to give you a chance to do that. And in return, what we ask is that when the sessions actually start, that you prioritize getting into them. So it's more respectful for the presenters if the rooms are full with people when they start talking, but we've given you a lot of time to mingle in the breaks. So hopefully you enjoy that. We did get a ton of abstracts this year for presentations. We got 267, which I think is a new record. And as one way to share those innovative projects with you all, we've introduced a new concept as one of our parallel sessions, which is the lightning talk round. So in addition to our more curated and thematic sessions, we have one track that's just people presenting their abstracts, 15, 20-minute presentations. That's mostly going to be in conference room 2 across the way here. So if you want to hear really some exciting new work that's going on in the community, we encourage you to check those out too. You have at least 155 speakers presenting this year across 64 sessions. So that's a ton of people. So we really hope that you all get around and see a variety of presentations. And we also have some interactive activities that we did last year that we're bringing back this year, which is a quiz and a community practice event in the mornings on the next 2 days. You should have all gotten a paper copy of the agenda in your welcome packet. If you lose that, if you want a digital copy, we do have a link. It's available in these slides. It's also available on the homepage of the conference website. So you can just go there and download a PDF of it directly. Of course, we also have an interactive agenda, which is on the conference website. So you can see there all the different sessions that are coming up. You can look at them by day. You can sort by different thematic track. And if you have your own account, which all of you should on that conference website for in-person participants, you can then customize your schedule. You can save the sessions you want to go to. You can also find out more information about them there. And if you want to join online, even though you're here in person, you can find the Zoom links directly there on that online agenda. There's a mobile app too, which you can download, and that allows you to browse the agenda more fluidly on your phone. You do need to log into that using the same accounts you have on the website. And for online participants, you won't access the schedule that way. We are sending out an agenda every day to the online participants with the links to join the calls. As for logistics, many of you have been here before, but for those who haven't, it's the same setup as last year. So this is our plenary hall. We'll be here every morning for the first 3 days and in the afternoon. When you go out the main door, directly across the plaza, that's the building where we'll have our parallel sessions. And there are 4 auditoriums in there. They're labeled 1, 2, 4, and 5. And those correspond to the numbers you see on the agenda. We'll be doing posters and experts lounges also in the building across the plaza. So there'll be signs set up saying what's where. And side sessions will be in this other building, which we're using, which is in between the two. You can kind of see it off the side there. So if you go out the door here, it's to the right, the tall building on the right-hand side. Lunch is across the plaza in that direction. There'll be signs pointing that way. And you'll all be just lining up there. There's a similar concept to last year. We have pre-made bowls that you get, either a meat or a vegetarian option. And there's a bar with salad you can select from. And coffee breaks will be here in this lobby in the morning during the plenary sessions and across the way in the afternoon during the parallel sessions. And again, just check the agenda and that'll give you all the details on which session is happening where. And if you have any questions, just let one of us know. Some general logistics, you should all have access to this conference's Wi-Fi. We also provided you with a QR code that's around in various places you can scan to get access to that. But if not, this is the network name and password. There are toilets in this building that are downstairs. So if you go out into the lobby, the men's toilet is that way, the women's toilet is that way, and they're down the stairs on both sides of the plenary hall. And then in the other building, they're in the bottom floor. So you go on the ground floor and go down the stairs, and there are restrooms there. Water in Norway is safe to drink. So if you need more water and there's not one out in the lobby here, you can just fill it from any tap. It's totally safe. If you're missing anything you need or want any snacks or any various supplies, there is a convenience store that's in the building with the cafeteria on the ground floor. So you can go there if you need to purchase anything for yourself. Some emergency information. If there's a fire in this building, we have various emergency exits. So one on each side here in the front and then in the back. And then you just go out to the main plaza. And that's the rally point in case of any emergency. And if you have any questions or anything else comes up or you see some event that you're not comfortable with, you can just talk to any person wearing a staff badge. This is the blue color here. And in particular, if you have anything you don't want to talk to just anybody about, you can always talk to me, you can talk to Ola, you can talk to Kristen, and we'll help you through that. And then any general questions, we do have a help desk out in the lobby here, and we do have this email address, which you've all gotten various emails from. So either one of those is a fine way to get in touch with us if you have anything that you need to talk to us about. There are people joining us online. I think we had a lot of people sign up this year. Everyone who's an online participant should have gotten this information. We'll be sending out a daily email with more information. All the plenaries are available on Zoom and streamed on YouTube, and all the parallel sessions are also available through Zoom. And here's some more information about that. And this is also available with anyone here. So if you happen to be out and about and you want to check in on a session, you're welcome to do that while you're here live. This is also how we manage French interpretation. So if you're a French speaker and you want to get a French translation of a session you're in, it's through Zoom. So you have to log into the Zoom meeting for that session. And there'll be an interpretation option that shows up at the bottom of the screen. And here's that information again in French. I do not speak French, so I'm not going to read this. But if you speak French, feel free to take a picture, or you should have gotten this information in your welcome packet also. And then we are bringing back the app competition this year. You'll hear more about this later today at the What's New in DHIS2 session. We've got a lot of great submissions. We have 3 finalists, and we'll present a short introduction of those to you today in this morning's session. And then there's another session tomorrow morning where there'll be more detail about those. And Austin will be talking a little bit more about this during the What's New in DHIS2 session this morning. You do need a community practice account to vote in the app competition. So if you haven't already signed up for one, we encourage you to do that. And you'll be reminded about this later. For experts lounges, I think everyone has maybe engaged with these in previous years. We're doing it a little bit differently this year. We do have several different topics for experts lounges, both tomorrow afternoon and Thursday afternoon. And we have a QR code that links to a form where you can submit your questions in advance. You can submit ideas in advance for things you want to talk about, and we'll get back to you with a potential time for you to meet. I think there's also an opportunity to just drop by the tables. We'll have tables set up in the other building with signs on them that announce what the table's topic is. So you can find an expert you want to talk to and just bring your questions to them. It's a really great opportunity to meet some of the people in the core team one-on-one if you haven't met them before and ask your questions. We're all friendly people. We don't bite, so feel free to come along and say hi. And we also have poster presentations. So these are, again, submitted by the community. There are a lot of great posters that will be presented this year. And we'll have those set up in the lobby area at the same time as the networking and coffee break in the afternoon. So, get a cup of coffee, walk around, and hear a presentation from some of your colleagues in the global community. And we also this year have a special display of 10 posters from the Climate and Health Project. We just had a conference about that last week, and there were 10 different countries that presented their work. And we have those posters here, and they'll be presenting those also on one of the days. You should get a list of the posters that are available on a per day basis. We're going to try to change them out each day so you have a different variety to see to keep it interesting. We also have online posters for people who couldn't make it in person. So you can go to the community practice and look at this tag, DAC 2025-posters. I know there are at least a few there already, and more will be coming in the next few days. But a good chance to see work for people who couldn't make it here in person. And then social events. It's a very social conference this year. We have a social event every day. Today we have one, which is a couple hours at the end of the day. We have some snacks, some drinks. There'll be posters set up. There'll be mingling in the lobby. My team will be set up outside with a video camera to just do quick interviews with people. We'll talk about that in a second. The next 2 days, we have a shorter just coffee break and poster and networking session alongside the experts lounges, again in the same place. And then Friday afternoon is our big conference wrap-up party. We're all going to go together up to Sognsvann, which is a nice lake, just a 15-minute metro ride from here. And so I'll just go on the metro together and ride up there and have some food and drinks and have a nice long party as long as the weather is nice. But it is a bit chilly at night in Norway, so definitely bring a jacket for that. Yeah, it'll be nice. It'll be like 23 degrees. And then finally this year, we also wanted to just make the sort of networking a bit more open for everyone so you can meet each other outside of our scheduled activities. We do have a WhatsApp group that you can sign up for. You should have gotten a link for this in your conference packet as well. So if you want to be invited to go out after the conference is over, feel free to sign up for that. And I think there are a lot of people who are very social and like to go out, and we'll show you around the city if you're interested. This is just a note about the interviews. We've done this each year for the past 4 years, I think, and it's been really great to hear some stories directly from members of the community. So we'll have a camera set up and a tripod. We just ask you one question: what does DHIS2 mean to you? And then you can say whatever you feel, whatever's in your heart. So we really encourage you to come and share your stories if you haven't done that already. And today is the group photo. The weather is not looking great, but we're going to try to get a group photo done outside before lunch. So after we have this session, Kristen will give an opening talk, and then we'll have the What's New in DHIS2 session, and then we'll all move out together to the front steps in front of this building, and we'll get a quick photo taken for everyone who's in the conference this year. And then photos, if you take photos throughout the conference, you can submit them through this link, and then that's something that everyone in the conference can see. So feel free to upload your snapshots. We'll be giving out an award for the best photo at the end of the conference. So definitely some friendly competition, but even aside from competition, it's just a great way to share your vision of the conference with other people who are here. And like I said, some awards will be given out. We do have these activities the next 2 days in the morning. That's also to encourage you all to get here in time for the plenary. We'll be doing a short quiz, we'll be doing a COP activity, and some other things that will be given out at the end of the event. And I think with that, we are going to go hand it over to Ola.
Thanks, Max. Can you guys hear me okay in the back? Yeah, good. Okay, let's see. So when we invited you all to come here this year, we had no idea how many people would show up. I think we had big concerns with the financial situation that we wouldn't be as many. But it's quite amazing that we're more than 300 people here and counting. I think they've been printing new name tags all morning, and I'm sure some of you are still waiting to get yours. So these numbers are so-so. I mean, it's a bit like your aggregate data. We can make decisions based on it, but it's not 100% accurate science. But as you can see, we have more than 300 people. I think last night, after I updated this slide, it was 303, and I think now if we ask Tale, it should be 320 probably. But it's great. We have, of course, a big team here from our own staff and colleagues, but there are at least 226 guests from the outside that have traveled here from 68 different countries and 124 different organizations. So that's pretty amazing. And we have more than 1,200, or was it 1,300 this morning, that have signed up online. Many of you are listening, so it's great to also have you here. Yeah, so we can, of course, we don't have time to introduce everyone, but I'll show you some statistics, and then I'll let some of you get the chance to stand up as well. So if you look at this map, you can see that we come from all over the globe, from south to north, west to east, with Africa as the dominant continent with 25, it could be actually 26 countries, so it's about half the continent, led by a big delegation from Ethiopia, if they all got their visa. And I also want to make a special welcome to Africa CDC, the regional entity for the continent that are here for the first time. It's great to have you here. We just signed an MOU and really look forward to collaborating on strengthening DHIS2 in Africa together with Africa CDC. You can also see that I think there are more colors on the European map this year than ever before, quite broad participation. Special welcome to the Ukrainian Red Cross Society. Hope you arrived. Are you here? Welcome. And then we also have a big team from the European CDC that have traveled across from our neighbor Sweden. That's why Sweden has so many people this year. Welcome to you as well. We also have good representation in the MENA region. We have ministries of health from Syria, Jordan, and Palestine, and also for the first time, participants from Qatar, from the Education Above All Foundation. So welcome to you as well. And then I always have to mention the people that have traveled the farthest, from the bottom right here to the top left there. That's the team from M Supply Foundation. So Craig and team, welcome again. It's great to see you here. There you are. So a bit more statistics. Here you can see the kind of how big the different country delegations are. Ethiopia, if you remove Norway, of course, then Ethiopia has a big team together with Nigeria. Also Uganda, big team from Africa there. And the United States is always second after Norway, but this year it's actually, I looked at last year's statistics. This is less than half of what we had last year. So difficult times indeed. But great to have you all here. You can see on the pie chart that it's quite a good mix. Of course, we have a big team from our own center here at the UIO, but also a big portion of government, NGOs, international organizations, private companies, and quite a few from the HISP groups around the world as well. Welcome to you all. Then let's spend some time welcoming the Ministries of Health, Education and Agriculture that are here. I think you are the most important guest, of course, and it's from you that we learn how DHIS works, and sharing these experiences, I think, is the most important part of this conference. So we'll take some time to go through this 27, and this is where the data is maybe not 100% accurate. I added Namibia 10 minutes ago, and there could be other countries that we have missed out, but I'll call you out one by one, and then you can stand up and we can all welcome you. So let's start with the team from government of Angola. Are you here? Welcome. And then we have Dominica in the Caribbean, in the back there. Welcome. And we have a team from Ministry of Health in Equatorial Guinea. You're here? Welcome. And then we have a giant team from Ethiopia, both Ministry of Health and Ministry of Agriculture. Welcome. So not 24 yet, but still a big team. We also have a Minister of Education from the Gambia in the back there. Welcome. And we have Minister of Health of Ghana Health Service from Ghana. There in the back. And there. Welcome. And we have a team that traveled from Grenada as well. Are you here? Welcome. And Minister of Health of Jordan. Welcome. And then Ministry of Health in Madagascar. Are you here? Yes, welcome. And then Minister of Health from Malawi. Welcome. You see them? And the Maldives. In the back, where are you? Yeah, there you are in the front. Permanent Secretary of the Maldives. Welcome. And then we have Mozambique, Minister of Health. Welcome. Big team. And then the latest I added to the list was Namibia. Are you here? Sefrino promised you were here. There's Namibia. Welcome. And then we have Minister of Health from Nepal. Somewhere. And we have CMU, the Common Management Unit from Minister of Health in Pakistan. Are you here? Not arrived yet. Maybe not yet. And we have from Palestine, from the Palestinian Institute of Public Health. Welcome. Thank you. We are with you. Minister of Health in Rwanda. And from St. Vincent and the Grenadines in the back there. Welcome. Another island nation, Sao Tome and Principe. Welcome. And then we have Ministry of Education from Sierra Leone. Yeah, welcome. And then a team from Ministry of Health in Somalia. Are you here? Not yet. Visa challenges, maybe. Yeah. And then we have both Ministry of Education and Health from Sri Lanka. Welcome. And then St. Lucia, Minister of Health in the back there. Thank you. And then we have Minister of Health from Syria. 2 people, I think. Ah, you're there. Welcome. And then Tanzania. Claude, welcome. Good to see you. And first time I saw Claude, I think it was the very first academy we did. So it's been great to have you back, Claude. And then Minister of Health from Uganda. Not yet. And the Zambia. Do you have Zambia here? Yes. Welcome. Yeah. And now the important question, did we miss anyone? Any governments, ministries from countries not mentioned on the screen? Not yet? Let's see. Well done. Welcome to you all. Okay, we do one more quick introduction round. So we, of course, we have many from HISP and from governments. If you remove this from the equation, these are the kind of most represented organizations. So we can also take time to welcome you. We can start with the team from HubTech Solutions in Ethiopia. Are you here? HubTech? Not yet. Hopefully they are coming. Okay. Then we have a team from PAT, I think from different places in the world. PAT, welcome. And we should have a team from Data Science Nigeria. Can you stand up? Do we see you? Not yet. And then eHealth Africa, also from Nigeria. Are you here? Visa challenges from, okay. We've already said welcome to M Supply Foundation, but I think there are 3, 4 here. You can stand up, welcome. And then the team from European CDC. Please stand up. Thank you. And then we have a team from Simprints coming back this year in the back there. Welcome. Good to see you again. And Max said I skipped JSI. That wasn't on purpose. Extra special welcome to JSI. Where are you? Thank you. And then we have UNICEF, I think different country offices and HQ. UNICEF staff, welcome. And Ukrainian Red Cross Society, welcome. And then we have a team from LifeNet International in Uganda. Are you here? Yeah, welcome. And then we have CARPHA, the Caribbean Public Health Agency, that brought all their countries. Welcome to you again. And then we have CHI, different country offices. Thank you. Also coming from different places in the world, I think. Yeah. And we have also WHO, a bit spread out HQ and country offices. Welcome. Great. That's this is the last slide. So of course we didn't get to introduce all of you, but we have an online platform where you can browse participants. You can also add your own profile, and we have, as Max said, many long breaks this year, and we have many networking events in the afternoon. So hope you take the chance to meet new friends or talk to old DHIS friends or grab one of the many DHIS experts that are here. That actually reminded me that there was one more thing I wanted to do, and that is to ask all the HISP groups from around Africa, Asia, and Latin America to stand up. There should be 37 of you if you've been up in the morning. Welcome. So, we've had a busy last week with internal HISP meetings, and the HISP network is growing. We have 25 groups now, and it's great to have you all here. Yes, so please grab them if you have questions and you want to talk to DHIS experts.
We missed MSF, it said.
Yeah, there are many more organizations, but they have smaller teams. So but there are many. We didn't have time, but we can say welcome to MSF as well. I think if next time, just a clue is if you register all as MSF and not as your individual regional, then your number together is bigger and you will end up on the chart. But welcome to MSF as well. Yes. Okay, I think that's it. You also have the COP with a lot of chances to meet people, of course, if you're online. Thank you. Then
thank you.
Over to Kristin.
Okay, everyone, welcome everyone. We can now see that it feels like we are almost as many as last year. And the last year was, you know, the last year ever. And we never keep account of how many annual conferences we had, because the first many years it was expert. DHIS2 Expert Academy. And then people go complaining. However, I feel enlightened. I feel getting a lot of hope, a lot of inspiration to go back and do the same as I learned from my fellow other countries that are implementing DHIS2. So we don't even know how many years we have had. I think it's the sixth years of annual conference. However, we had many years of expert DHIS2 Expert Academy. This is a yearly event. I really feel that it's super that so many were able to come in spite of what we all experience. So this seriousness of what we all experienced made me make a manuscript for the first time in my life. Nearly. Because there's so many important things to say. It's so many important things to make sure that we utilize the week, almost a week, when we are together. That we are so happy that so many governments are here present, that they were able to raise so we can actually look up. But there were so many people that was standing up, so we cannot remember. But we made the font as big as possible so we can mingle, so we can talk, and we can be inspired. But we can also make relations so we all can collaborate. Because what I say, this is time for unite. This is time for solidarity. It's a time for collaboration. And I will touch a bit upon what we can do and think about all the week, how we can work together, how can we strengthen the countries, how can we listen to the countries and make the voice be heard through the posters, through the sessions, but through the conversations and collaboration during this week. So we hope that we have made a program, we all together made a program that will enable this one. And that's why we have all these breaks, so you can talk. But remember to come back to listen also, because we need audio, not only talking. Okay, so global health. Global aid is in a crisis, not only global health, even though global health is suffering more, but global aid in particular. I mean, that due to all the wars, Ukraine, even in Norway, aid is now going to weapon to Ukraine. We are happy to support Ukraine. But it's sad that it's also meaning that we have on the globe 7% going down on aid last year. This year's prospect is 30% going down on aid, global health. And we know, or everyone knows why. It's not even the elephant in the room, because he's in the room. That's why we need to unite, to look back, to think about, why are we here? How come that we are now celebrating 31 years of HISP network? 30 years last year, for those of you who were here, now 31. So why are we still here? That's, I think we should contemplate, reflect. Oh, I have a manuscript, okay. So this crisis make us, I mean, we are kind of suffering, but still the wheels are working. We have seen that I really think it's time to go back to the basic. We had that, I think, as a topic for the plenary for our 30th anniversary as well. So we are prepared. But now it's amplify the issue of going back to the basic, meaning governmental system strengthening, local ownership, make data for decisions, build capacity while we do local innovation, and share the innovation. Everyone can shine of the colleagues and the peers' innovation from another country. It can just be customized for your own need, and then the government can shine, the HISP group can shine, the team can shine, and actually support various use cases. Because what we learn is the use cases are changing all the time. We actually proved the concept during the COVID, the pandemic, that we were able to mobilize the whole network. The network grew. We got 8 new HISP groups during COVID, the pandemic, that are now strong in countries. We were able to support all these 60 over countries with disease surveillance and vaccine delivery through lockdown, due to the local competency, due to the competence and the digital infrastructure that happened, that was there sitting in the countries. We were also able to mobilize a lot of funds, because at that time, everyone was looking for data. Data for decisions was super important. The whole world, even in Norway, even in the Western context, understood that data wasn't necessary for decisions, and system need to be strengthened. So when we have mobilized all this, it's a bit of a problem when we are geared up, and then we have to gear down, because no more money left. However, the capacity is there in countries, in the region, in the HISP group. More HISP groups are even trained and being able to do innovation on the fly, nearly. Like all the innovations coming from the hackathon in Sri Lanka that was grabbed. All the use cases from full stack, from ICU bed tracking to port of entry that took Norway 1.5 years to get. Took Sri Lanka 3 days. I'm trying to do the Sri Lankan head shaking. 3 days-ish. And then the rest of the HIS network just grabbed it, implemented it as a local innovation. And that we need to rely on in this new time. So going back to the basic, meaning leverage, elevate, fuel with innovation and hope for all these 80 countries that are using DHIS2 as a national health infrastructure, but also for education, for agriculture, and as you will hear a lot more about, climate health, which is a new guy in town. So this is actually what we were trying to get, mobilize hope, collaboration around, rally all the resources we can to keep the systems going. We have examples from Uganda, where USAID had secondments. Even though the secondment had to leave immediately, HISP Uganda is able to keep the systems going with very little resources. So we need to help each country that actually now, our model, and we have many discussions with investors about what shall we do now? What is the situation? We do situation analysis around all the countries. What shall we do when the Americans, sorry for all you Americans, not so many this year, huh? Sorry, Americans, this kind of secondment strategy for capacity building is not very sustainable. It's actually building capacity inside the government, inside the country, that is in the universities, that is sustainable. So we proved that concept as well. So time to mobilize local capacity building. So for this conference, sustainability is a theme. So we will have that kind of evaporating inside all the sessions that we have. We will have a session tomorrow, a parallel session though, on fostering local ownership for DHIS2 sustainability. And also our closing panel will be devoted to this issue. In the beginning, when after Trump came in office and USAID was closed down by the Tesla guy, I don't even want to mention his name, I was optimistic because I'm thinking, our time to shine, just like during the pandemic. But then we started to have all these calls with all these agencies that were sacking people that didn't have money. I mean, all this suffering for the Americans also evaporate into us. We will have a lot of competition to mobilize funds. So we need to work harder, be smarter. Actually, we need to collaborate. Because we have seen all the parallel systems that USAID, for instance, and US government and others put into the countries. They are closed. Let's look at it as an opportunity to harmonize and integrate data in countries. Maybe that's, and maybe not only, never ever do the secondment style again, but build local capacity. So we need to learn. And I think it's time to learn. But then, of course, after being very optimistic, I become a bit depressed. During this week, I want to be optimistic again. Promise. Because it's not only, that's the segue to this one, it's not us that suffer from these challenges in the global aid and global health sphere. It's all the open source, all the DPGs are suffering. So it's actually difficult to convey that you shall support a core when countries are suffering. It's difficult even to convey that message. So that is not only for DHIS2, it's going for all the other DPGs. So it's time also to think about and learn how can we strengthen the business models around supporting the core, as well as we support the countries. Because DPGs, I mean, the idea it's not we as HISPers, and Bob in particular, we talking about integration. We don't think that the more the merrier of DPGs, because that can be confusing. It will be very difficult for the national architecture, which will be plenary on Thursday. Mr. Adam, isn't that so? Yeah. So in one way, having more the merrier is not the thing. However, global digital public good, to think about everything we do, everything we innovate, every learning shall be shared as a global good. That's a very good thing. But it needs to be in line with our national architecture. We need to think bigger because we don't afford now to do experiments. Experiment time is over. Now it's back to basic. That's actually my key message, to be honest. Yep, we actually have a session on DPG and DPI on Thursday, 11 o'clock, led by Liv Marte Nordhaug from the Digital Public Good Alliance and NORAD, actually. We have had that now for 4 years, I think. So you can check on that one. We will have a panel and stuff. We will also have a return on investment to discuss more the ideas on Thursday as well. But the timing, I don't really know. But you can find out in this beautiful program and all the tools you can get to search on that one. To discuss more how we can kind of work together as DPGs. So why is this annual conference important? It's the largest gathering for all the DHIS2 experts, users, stakeholders, researchers, HISP groups, implementers during the year. So now we can convene, even though we have to admit, we don't see many investors here now. Maybe no. Global fund. We have one left, Joanne. We are talking, she's very interested in Francophone strategies, Francophone countries. So anyone that wants to discuss that one can come to us. So very few investors this time. Normally we have many more. However, we have 68 countries here. We have 27 governments represented. So this super time to be able to talk, to discuss, and make cool plans for collaboration in the future. And we can summarize them, and maybe you can give a presentation next year. What you have achieved. So, good news. More countries have actually started to use DHIS2. It's good news for us, that develop all this innovation on top of DHIS2 that can be shared within so many use cases. Just last week, Cambodia began the pilot to transition their HMS to DHIS2 nationally. That's cool. Syria is rebuilding its national health system after more than a decade of civil war. And it's moving forward with a plan for one DHIS2 for the whole country, supported by HISP-MENA and international international partners. So HISP-MENA, we have invited Mohammed Banyodi, from the leader from the HISP-MENA from Palestine, but due to travel restrictions, he was not able to come. However, we could hear that from Ministry of Health from the West Bank, from Palestine is here. We are very happy. But also Abdurrahman, the second in command in MENA, HISP-MENA is here. So where are you? Up. So he's here, they are here in order to be able to discuss with you how you can support Palestine. All our thoughts are with Palestine, and we all cry for Palestine. Madagascar is partnering with HISP-UIO on developing a One Health system. That's cool. The Philippines is developing DHIS2 for nutrition, supporting by UNOPS and HISP India. And countries are beginning to build, continuing to build the last mile through Tracker. So there is a lot of work on Tracker that a bit unknown that we don't see much of, but the last mile become more and more and more important when the digitalization process are happening. So Laos just marked the first year anniversary of using DHIS2 as the National Electronic Immunization Registry. That's cool. So many countries are then here to inspire us to be able to push forward the digitalization transitions in countries as much as is useful. However, the rumors has gone over to the high-income countries as well. So many many countries are now looking into DHIS2 for more high-income use cases. Several European countries, the United States is talking about DHIS2-based systems. It actually, and we know that, well, tiny little Norway used it during the pandemic. However, that calls for new business model. How can the high-income countries contribute to a global good, to a platform that they utilize for all the low and middle-income countries for 30 years, invested by all the global health donors and so forth. So that discussion will continue from last year. How can we make the high-income countries to contribute? And that's actually a discussion also with this kind of partnership model, because I know it's later, but I think it's actually the same-ish, because we are launching a new contributing partnership model. I don't really remember when. Maybe someone will tell. Wednesday afternoon. Tomorrow, actually, it's Tuesday today. So it's tomorrow we will launch this new contributing partner model, trying to make a vehicle to have a closer collaboration in the DHIS2 community. How can we together make sure that this locomotive is still alive next year? How can we actually work together? You know, we have many partners that want to be helping, contribute, have more insight into the roadmap maybe. However, country needs always come first, just to not give you too much hope. Sorry. But all the partners that are here in the room, we saw so many, can work together in order to see how can we all contribute to be able to continue to make a DHIS2 innovative platform thrive and be relevant in countries for new use cases, for many use cases, but also being enable innovation to be shared. Because the most important thing with DHIS2 is what is on top of DHIS2. That's all, the whole network, you guys, and all the 25 HISP groups. We just got a new HISP group. Tomas is ICA, Eastern European Central Asia HISP group. Very brand new. So we are conquering the world with sharing innovations. So that part is super important. We now have a mechanism, and we invite you all to discuss that one, to see how can we collaborate also to make it, to sustain it, the platform, together. Going back to the manuscript. We have a lot of, Ola mentioned, a lot of MOUs and new partnerships. Africa CDC was mentioned already, so no need of saying more about that. But that's pretty hopeful for us, because we treat, in one way, Africa as a continent. We even have now the HISP Africa up and thriving with how many countries? How many HISP groups? Countries we know. 16? I don't hear you, but okay. 16-ish. A lot of HISP groups in Africa have convened. So it's very nice to have the Africa CDC to have as a partner in order to see how can we kind of treat the continent as a whole. And we have already been in discussions about how to address Mpox outbreaks together, thinking about what can we learn from the DRC that can be shared with the rest of Africa. So we have huge hope for that collaboration. So we are very, very happy. We also have, we can see actually already the outcome of having an MOU with CARPA, partnering with DHIS2 capacity in the Caribbean. I don't think we ever had so many countries from Caribbean coming to this annual conference. So very happy about that one. And also PAO, collaborating on DHIS2 in the Americas. We also have big hopes for what can happen in Latin America. Norwegian Red Cross, we also have an MOU with to collaborate on capacity strengthening with the Red Cross. Super. And we are renewing, those of you that remember, we signed a 5-year contract with NORAD, actually supporting us for 5 years for the first time in history. They, of course, they continue. They are not closed down. We have an election coming soon, very soon. So we all have to vote, of course. So far, not closing down. NORAD, still our best friend. And actually back to basic, meaning also back to old friends that actually understand, that filling the gap, that ask us what's happening in the countries. Can we help you to mobilize funds? To just keep that server alive or get some money to make sure that nothing is closing. That's NORAD. So we are very, very happy to NORAD. NORAD is here, not here. Otherwise, I would say thank you, NORAD, as I usually say. We were able to prolong the Gavi contract for 2025. Next year, we don't know. UNICEF long-term agreement still going, and that is kind of a super mechanism for us now. Small things, small contributions become big when you all put it together. And it's many enough. So thank you, UNICEF. That's super good vehicle, and people should look to having a global contract that can be easily enabled in countries. Go and learn. Global Fund and Gates, ongoing dialogues to see how we can be able to rescue or to be able to mobilize funds for country needs. And we are all working hard on that one. So that's ongoing. Okay, so now we got a bit down, now we go up. The new girl in the room is climate health. You remember from last year, we were saying we are now starting a new area funded by Wellcome Trust. Wellcome Trust, moi, didn't even know who Wellcome Trust was before they came and said, you have so many good relationships with so many countries. How can you leverage the DHIS2 for health with all the data that sits there on diseases to help countries, governments, to understand, to analyze, to be prepared, and maybe also predict what can happen with climate-sensitive diseases. We did the same with education. Can we do the same with climate health? We said, no problem, no problem. You come here, we have absorptive capacity when it comes to innovation and mobilizing the HISP groups, talking to countries. So we have worked with 10 countries since you saw us last time. And last week, we had a conference where all the 10 countries, 65 people, sat together in 1 week to present, not really brag, but to share and discuss, because there's so many unknowns when it comes to climate-sensitive diseases, how to treat it, how to mobilize the AI community in order to make models that are, in a HISP way, adapted to local context, that can create ownership in countries, so you can actually understand and assess whether it's useful predictions or not. So we sat there 1 week, many of those, and we have 10 posters over there. I think it's Thursday we will display it, Max, yeah? So you can continue discussion. Tomorrow it will be the Climate Health Day. We start with a plenary, and we have parallel session on the climate app, on the modeling platform, and ending up with an expert launch. And that's where you come and discuss with us, because we would like you to listen first, not first, you can discuss with us during the whole day, of course, but you know, discussing what we can do together. We are there, and we are there to help countries also during the afternoon tomorrow. So that's the good news, because there's a lot of new partners coming in that way. Now we are opening up a new box of partners. So we are very happy to reconvene with the partnership with GIZ, with Save the Children, and many others. I think we have 5. We are having continuous meeting with Gates, because now Gates is not Gates, it's distributed all over. So we have kind of continuous series of meetings with Gates, 5, 6, 7 meetings with Gates-ish things. So it's a lot of attention, lot of interest, and we need to transform that into activity, not only talk. Because we hope we will have 6 New Years after evaluation this fall from Wellcome Trust. But they have one requirement, is that other investors are also investing. They don't want to be the sole investors. So we are looking after partners. So partners, please come to do partnership in countries. But the interest is there. And we have other partners also that you will hear more about. We have the Cicero, which is a kind of we will hear about tomorrow in the air pollution. We have a Barcelona supercomputing partner. We have IRI that work with the meteorological agencies in order to be able to model the local data to cover the whole country, even though they are black holes. So we are kind of learning. We are super much learning a new area, new stakeholders, new governmental institution that we need to collaborate with. I'm actually ending now. What's the time? Oh, not too bad. Not too bad. Coffee will come. So we all should take a moment of appreciating what we have achieved so far and use all our brain capacity to think about how can we maintain this success for the future. And I have to say, we are not preaching for our sick mother, actually not. We are actually thinking, wanting to create entrepreneurship in all of you, to think how can we together be able to meet country needs, to help countries mobilize resources, mobilize people. How can we do dugnad? It's called in Norwegian, when all the parents is rallying to help community work. How can we all together put the territorial competition away and thinking together, we need this year, probably the coming 3 years, 3.5 years, we need really to be able to show that we can work together, harmonize investments in countries, and coordinate in between us, no matter what. And thinking a bit beyond our own payroll, and how we can actually work together. So that's my last word. Welcome everyone for this fantastic week, the second week of the June Festival in the University of Oslo and the HISP community. And after the coffee break, it will be what's new in DHIS2. Oh no, it's Kåre, sorry. So, after all this joy, we need to think about our comrades that left us. People don't leave this community, actually. But of course, if they die, they do. So we want to spend some minutes remembering Kåre Heiberg, that's together with Jørn, was part of the project of reconstructing health system after apartheid in South Africa back in 1994. So over to Nora and team. Sorry.
Is it working? Okay. Yeah, hi.
And Jørn. Sorry. Again.
Last year, Kåre and I, and Nora also, I think, we were up exactly here talking about the first 30 years. And now Kåre is no more. So I was thinking maybe say a few words about what he has left behind and what we can learn. But first, how it started. And this started actually here at the University of Oslo, where Kåre and I, and also Kristin and others, we were very occupied with one professor who's kind of dealt with participatory design and development and Scandinavian traditional information system. And I discussed a lot with Kåre and this professor, Kristin Nygaard, about how could we use computers for development, for the betterment of the world and the developing world. And then Kåre left for Uganda and worked on GIS and forestry and things like that. And I went for something similar, but in South Africa. And at one point, I mean, we had both our scholarship for PhDs, and he went actually in Uganda, I was in South Africa. And at one point, I was flying somewhere, and it was one guy next to me who asked if we could change seats because he was so sick. He had a terrible hangover. And I asked him, why? What had happened? Yeah, he just came from Uganda, and he had been to a farewell party for a crazy Norwegian called Kåre Heiberg. And this Kåre was going to start his PhD in Oslo. And then when I landed, and I called Kåre and said, what do you mean PhD in Oslo? That's a stupid place to start a PhD. So I suggested, come to South Africa, because here everything can happen, revolutionary times, 94 and all that. And he said, yes, okay. And he came and started with land reform, a system for land reform, and GIS system for land reform. And as some of you might have noted, that's still a hot issue with Trump and Musk and all that, talking about land reforms in South Africa. But Kåre started with that already then in the 90s. And then, of course, we continued with the DHIS, and Kåre was actually the architect behind and designer behind the DHIS version 1. And since we were occupied with how to support, I mean, the local levels, the people, and make development, it was about participatory design to make systems together with the users. And as you might have noted, that DHIS 2 now, but DHIS 1 before, it's kind of designed so that you can create your own system in cooperation with users. And so it fitted perfectly well with this Scandinavian tradition and participatory design. And that is maybe the most important things to take away with Kåre's departure, that this progressive way of developing information system, because remember, Kåre was a very political person. He was kind of part of the Social Party in Norway before he left for South Africa, and he remained political till the end. And I just was thinking about a few lessons, because of course, one lesson is to support bottom-up development and the betterment of the world and development and all that through this participatory design. But there are a couple of other good lessons that are not so famous maybe, that we can share. And one was that, which I always try to teach these HISP people and students, that never forget to look at the data. And he had a term, eyeballing. If you're not eyeballing the data, you will never arrive anywhere. And it was said that he could kind of spot outliers without even opening his laptop. So look at the data. And data is becoming more and more important now with AI and all that. So that's one thing. And another thing is that you will never achieve anything if you don't follow the following rule, and that is work with one leg inside the government structures and one leg outside. The leg inside you use for impact, and the one outside is to kick asses and cut red tape and make sure that you get impact. So that's maybe the most important lesson from Kåre. Okay, and of course the important thing is to continue with this participatory design and think about those at the bottom of the pyramid. That's my last word then. Okay? Nora or Sean, maybe?
Okay. This one works. Thanks, Sean. So it looks like I'm up next to tell you a little bit about what it was like to work with Kåre in South Africa, where I worked with him in different ways for about 20 years. But any of you that know him well will know that even when I say work with Kåre, you know, you never really work with Kåre. You work near him, alongside him. Intellectually, it's a little bit like being on a roller coaster without any seatbelts, and you're just trying to hang on for dear life. At least that was my experience of working with Kåre. In India, he never really did what he was told. He never really was part of the team. And I thought it would get a lot better when I was his boss. And it really got a lot worse. He would deliberately ignore instructions. He would take on work he'd been told not to take on. He would refuse to write reports. He would refuse to issue invoices. And what I learned after some time with him is really the only way to work with him is to stay out of his way and make sure that he has a salary and gets paid. And these qualities of Kåre, it took me probably at least 10 years of working near him to start seeing what he was actually all about. That something about Kåre was actually challenging us, and every one of us that worked with him, to be ourselves, to believe in something. He would criticize everything you have to say, almost on principle, but he would be challenging you to believe in something, to stand up to him. And it was only when I started standing up to him that I discovered a different way of working with him. And so, just to wrap this up, I probably learned two things from Kåre that I think are somewhere at the heart of what it is to be a Hispian. One of them is to care deeply, or in Kåre's language, to give a shit. Because he did. Underneath all of that, he cared very, very deeply about everything he did, and he didn't touch anything that he didn't care about. And the second thing was to be a little bit less agreeable. And I've taken that forward, and I think I see it in many, many Hispians who are successful and many Hisps that are successful. And I think it's something of a mantra that I would challenge us all to take forward from Kåre's life. Let's be a little bit less agreeable and see where it gets us. Thank you.
Yes. So I have the honor of giving a little bit of a perspective about Kåre from how he worked with us. Oh yeah, sorry, a little bit closer. I have the honor of giving a little bit of perspective on Kåre and how he worked with UIO and the HIS Center. Even closer. It gets in my beard, so I gotta be careful. All right, so I think if you knew Kåre, the first thing that you were probably thinking about Kåre was that he fundamentally didn't understand what the word fundamental meant, based on how often he used it. I tried to tell him one time, I said, Kåre, if everything is fundamental, then nothing is. But I think that he didn't really take that criticism to heart. I think he actually would have really gotten a laugh out of this whole thing as we're presenting it now. He was the person sitting right there who would love to heckle whoever was standing on stage, right? He would always have his booming, I don't need a microphone voice, you know, standing right there. And shouting you down. I've seen it many times. I've seen it in different conferences. I've seen it in academic settings and professional settings with high-level officials, with presidents, Kåre saying, you know, speaking truth. I've been on the receiving end of it a few times myself. And I think the thing that I really wanted to say was that I'm going to miss how fearless he was, that he could really cut through the bullshit. He would speak the truth. A truth that oftentimes that we would all kind of collectively know, but we were all too polite or afraid to say it. He would say it. I've actually never held someone's opinion in such high regard as I did Kåre's. in my life. There were many instances where we would be sitting at around the table at the HIS Center, working on Core DHIS2, and we would say something like, yeah, even Kåre appreciated this approach, or he liked this feature. And the reason we would say that to each other is because we knew how much weight that carried, right? Kåre's validation, just like his criticisms, were not given perfunctory or cursory. They were given with a great degree of profound wisdom and insight. So when he did say that he liked something that you did, which was rare, you really, hardly, you really knew that that compliment meant something. And to me, I know to many others here, those compliments, those things that he said in validation and approval are some of the things that we carried, at least certainly I carry, as highlights of my career. There's been plenty of times here at the HIS Center where we've said, we should just call this the Kåre feature, because he gave so much critical feedback and insight into the actual development of the feature. Kåre didn't know how to make just a health information system work. He knew it from all the way from the code base, all the way up to talking to presidents. An incredible range and versatility. We've often said things like, I don't know what we should do right now, so let's just go ask Kåre. He will know. One of the things that he would appreciate if we kind of quantified this a little bit. He made 466 JIRA tickets for DHIS2 across his 2 JIRA accounts, because some people just need 2, I guess. We have resolved, I checked this morning, 434 of them. So there's still a few left to do, around 20 or so. And I think that we should try, as the core DHIS2 development team, to try to get through all of his tickets. It's a challenge for Marta and the product folks. I think he would think it was hilarious that this is what it took for us to close all of his tickets. You know, we didn't really just lose a friend and a colleague. We, in my opinion, I think we lost probably the single greatest source and wisdom in health information systems. And to think how much knowledge just blinked out of existence is kind of horrifying to me. And I know that we will be relearning lessons that Kåre thought was fundamentally well understood for many years to come. Luckily, he did write many papers over the course of his long career. So you can just Google Scholar, search Kåre Heiberg. And a lot of the wisdom that Sean and Jorn were sharing, it's, you know, he did write some of this down, you know, how to stand up, cut through the bullshit. Sorry, the last thing that I do want to say is just from a note as a friend of Kåre, that when you got him talking about anything that wasn't DHIS2, you saw how warm and generous he was as a person. We're talking about his combative nature professionally, but when you got onto his boat, when you got to sit in his plane, when you had him over for dinner, you had a beer with him, you realize he really poured himself into what he was passionate about and loved to share it. And, you know, a firsthand account on my part is, I was lucky enough that Kåre took me sailing several times. And over the course of those sailing trips, I realized that I truly despise sailing and I'm terrible at it. And I risked his life a few times with very poor decisions sailing. And there was no one who would have given me that opportunity. He loved it, he was passionate about it, and he wanted to share it with anyone who was interested. And that generosity, I know professionally and friendship-wise, is why many of us are in this room right now. So as we go through the course of the week, I do just want to point out that I think that we will start to appreciate more and more that there is a lifetime of experience and a voice, a booming voice that is not here. And I'm sure that we will start to realize that more and more as we work through the sessions and the conference. Thanks.
Thanks. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Max, whoever put that slideshow together, I want to thank you for the bottom of my heart. I appear in the first group photograph of the slideshow and in the last group photograph of the slideshow. My name is Nora, and I met Kåre when he came to South Africa, 1997. We have been friends, colleagues, a mentor, and everything over that time period. And my tribute today is about being Kåre's friend. And we were only friends. A few years ago, DHIS2 South Africa decided that everybody need to do a Myers-Briggs personality test. You will believe me that out of 80 people, Kåre and I had the same configuration. The only two people in that group of 80 people. Maybe that's why we got on. We, as Scott would also say, we had our ups, we had our downs, but our friendship remained. We had the same family of health issues, and we both needed a very expensive weekly injection medication. And when Kåre couldn't get his for various reasons, he'd come and steal mine, because I had some spare. The good news is that when he died, the family discovered some injections in his fridge. It's injections that you take once a week. I'm going to visit the family this weekend and get them back. There were a lot of photographs of Kåre flying. Kåre learned to fly, great difficulty in getting his private pilot license test because of some minor health issues. But he got his license, he built a plane called Zulu XML, and he flew around the world with it. Took him 9 months. And part of that 9-month journey was to prove that DHIS2 South Africa could manage without him. And we did. But I followed Kåre as he flew. I had the link to track his GPS. And when I knew he was flying those terrible long stretches across the Pacific Ocean, sort of 14, 16-hour days, he flew for 2 days, I would phone him on his satellite phone and say, how are you doing? Are you all right? And it was just, that was the friendship that you had, because he says, listening to music when all you have is blue sky and sea is very boring after a while. So Kåre did his flying, and then when he left South Africa, he went into sailing. But the last story I want to tell about his flying days is I was working in South Sudan. It was a Friday afternoon. I was at Juba Airport. For those of you who fortunately don't know, Juba Airport has been described as the second worst airport in the world. I promise you it was. My phone rings. It's Kåre. He's in Barbados. He's been getting messages that the alarm in his house keeps on going off. And I said, Kåre, I'm in Juba. I've got to fly from Juba to Nairobi, Nairobi to Johannesburg, Johannesburg to Cape Town. He says, no, that's fine, when you get home tomorrow. The instructions were, when I got home the Saturday morning, go to his landlord. Kåre lived about 20 minutes drive away. Go to the landlord, get the keys, go into his house, find the electricity number, go out of the house, go to the shop, buy the electricity using that number, and go back into his house and feed it in so the alarm can stop ringing. Friendships that last, that stay the test of time, are few and far enough for so many of us, especially when we have such hectic lives. But Kåre always made time. There's a photograph there. He had a birthday celebration at our house one year. We used to invite him for Christmas. There was no way I could leave him Christmas Day all by himself. So Kåre was a friend. And it is as a friend I will remember him, I will thank him, and I will not forget him. Thank you very much.
I think we should all stand up and give Kåre a big applause. Thanks, Jørn, Sean, Scott, and Nora. Now it's time for coffee break. It will be a short one. We'll be back here 9:45. No, sorry, 10:45. That should be 10:45. So grab a cup of coffee and try to get back to your seat soon. Thank you. Yeah.
Hello? Hola? Does it work?
Are you really going to do this?
come in. We're going to get started in a minute. Please take your seats. You're okay. No, it's okay.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Yes, I think so. Welcome. Please have a seat. We're starting in a minute. Call your friends and colleagues. We know coffee is good, but the session is better. Welcome. Please come in. We're starting. Max, can they hear me outside? No. No. Okay. Welcome. Thank you for joining. Please proceed to your seats. Now we have people coming in. Welcome, welcome. Please take your seats. Welcome, everyone. Please walk to your seats. We are starting in a minute. Welcome. Please don't block the entrance. Keep walking. We are happy to see you. Now Max is going to make a reel. Oh,
Louder.
doesn't. Maybe that one.
Does this one not work? This one works.
I know.
All right, folks, when you come in, please take your seats so we can get started. The later we start the session, the less time all of you will have for lunch. So we really hope that'll motivate you to sit down and be ready for the presentation.
Sure. We are 10 minutes late. No. We are 10 minutes late. We are 10 minutes late. Already. Everyone.
All right, for those of you just coming in, please take your seats and we'll get started. I know a lot of you have very exciting conversations you're having with your colleagues, but you can definitely have those over lunch too. So if you don't mind taking your seats, we can have the presentation start.
Please take your seats. Does it work? Can you hear me through the microphone? Not really? Speak up.
Okay. All right.
Please take your seats. We are taking off soon. Fasten your seat belts. Okay. May I have your attention? It's on. I'm just low. Should I use another thing? The microphone is not great. My voice is not very loud. I could start with a joke to grab your attention, but I learned long ago that I shouldn't translate jokes to English. They don't translate well. But thank you. Thank you now for helping my voice get through. We are very pleased. I'm honored to actually be opening this session. This is the What's New session, where we are going to present and share what are the new features that are included in 42 for the core DHIS2, and then also in the Android app 3.2 versions. And I might be coughing a little bit. So we do have a lot of improvements. These are just a few highlights that I want to share with you, just to keep your attention all through the session. You are going to see that we have a new DHIS2 app menu served by a new global app shell that is a shared container for all web applications. We are also going to hear about configuration of data sets entry forms, both in web and Android. You are going to see that we are more and more working towards integrating web and Android user experiences. You are going to see that today as well. A beautiful, fantastic program indicators disaggregation functionality that I'm not going to say much now, but it's going to really make our lives easier for aggregating data from individual level to aggregate data values. We also have external dashboards and the capacity to add plugins to your DHIS2 dashboard, all integrated in your DHIS2 dashboards app. We will also talk about a unified rule engine. This deserves an applause, but not now, later, when they really talk about it. Because now is when you really will have the same experience and configuration across Android and web, and we have the same engine running behind. We will introduce the new shining climate and health services, which I think is the first time we actually introduce them like this. And in the opening session, we are very excited to share that. So I guess you can imagine the amount of hours and work that are behind. These are only 6 highlights. It's a huge team of developers, implementers, and product managers behind this. We can't have them here all together, but of course, I'm not going to present this alone. I'm Marta Vila, I didn't introduce myself. I'm leading the product team. And today we are going to be 7 people. I said 6 before. This is actually 7. So Marcus, the engineering lead, I mean, they are here. They will introduce themselves, but it's going to be Marcus, then Caroline, Nancy, and David as product managers. We will have Austin as well presenting Extend, engineering manager for Extensibility. I don't think I need to introduce Kristin, but she will join us later to talk about the climate solutions, climate and health. The plan for the session, this is a bit different from other years. Normally, we do present per product. It's not that different, but a little bit. We are grouping things now per product area, feature area. So we are going to start with platform. Marcus will talk about platform. In platform, we are compiling everything that is actually serving the whole infrastructure, either affecting all of the DHIS2 users or building foundation for it in the parts that we don't really see on the screen. We will then proceed to configure, where David will walk us through the features or functionalities that are the ones that normally a system admin will use. So this is a special type of user. This is your admin user, or this is you, actually, most of the times. And then we will walk towards the end user. So we will talk about collect. All functionalities that relate to data collection will be presented there by Nancy and Caroline, and they will cover both Android and web, specifying, of course, the differences and similarities. And then we will proceed to analyze, where we will talk about all the analytics apps, all the analytics functionalities. That will be Caroline. And then we will end with extend. So that will be Austin, and that is where we again change a bit the type of user. It's more oriented toward extending the platform and building things on top of it. So Austin will tell us more about how that has been improving. And we will close with climate and health solutions. And that's where Christine will join us for showing the new solutions. Once we are done, it's not here in the agenda, but between this session and the group photo, so don't run, we have to take the group photo, we will have the app competition. If you remember, every year we have an app competition. So today, Austin will show us the candidates so that you can vote all through the week. And that will be all from us. And I think I'm gonna leave it here and welcome Marcus on the stage to tell us about the platform features. Thank you.
Turn green and you can hear me. Yeah. Great. Thanks, Marta. When I hear this word, I get one picture in my head, and that's of a vast concrete floor. It's plain. It doesn't carry too much value by itself, but you can build really nice things on it. You can build houses on it, or skate parks, or whatever you need to actually achieve. It is a plateau that protects us from the uneven and moist ground, and it's a good starting point. And in this room, I think you will appreciate this first part, the platform part, because many of you are building your own skate parks and houses and depending on this platform, and we are really proud of it. And this year, our world has been shaken in a way that I would not have been able to imagine 1 year ago when we met here. And we are extra proud, in a way, to present these enhancements and the care we provide for our platform. We are going to stick around and be the bedrock for you through these tough times and into the future. The first feature or part of the solution I'm going to talk about is the rule engine, and this one we have been working towards for many release cycles. We have now closed the loop in 42, and we now have the same rule engine code running on the back end, on the front end capture app on web, and the Android app. It's the same one. And this is of course good because we can just maintain one code base. But even better, you will no longer have to worry about whether something will work on Android, work on web, whether it will be different. And we hope that the days of this only supported on Android are over, or this is only supported on web are over. Thanks. Okay. I really hope that this sticks, but yeah. We also have some new great opportunities to build cross-platform code that will be working the same on all these different platforms and places. So we're really excited about this one. The next really big feature, this one you will see again later, but I'm going to mention it briefly here in the beginning, because we are now serving the shell of the app from the DHIS2 core. That means that the developers will no longer build their own version of the header bar and the sort of navigation menu and so on into their apps and ship it when they when the developers and external developers as well as internal build apps for the DHIS2 platform. So it will all be consistent. It will all work the same. And we can roll out features to this, to the whole shell by changing code in one place, and it will be consistent. We have done some updates now that we are able to make sure it works the same across all apps, and you will see the mostly visual updates to the header bar. It's a little bit sleeker, a little bit nicer. We have also rolled out a new app menu, extendable app menu with shortcuts, which Austin is going to show us later, which is something we are really proud of. And we can now build functionality that works the same across all apps, across the whole platform. In the things that we are going to do later is, for example, a universal session expiry. So we have a better cross-platform experience when sessions times out, as one example. Do come to the what's next session on Friday. We're going to talk a lot about more of these opportunities that the new app shell will provide. A few other, we know that we bug you guys to upgrade. We keep saying this, do upgrade, it's more secure, it's faster, come on. And we know that it's a little bit of a heckle. You sometimes have to change your code even, and recode your apps or do changes. We just want to say we are also under the same pressure. For example, now we have upgraded the Spring main version, and we have changed. This is a bit of a nuisance to us as well, so we feel this pain as well, just so you know. But it does provide a more secure platform. It provides better security by default. It's faster, and it opens up a lot of new possible security features, like a modern token-based authentication that we will also get more into later. We have built we think we now have a complete support for ID schemes in the tracker endpoints. You can now use your own IDs, which we think is really going to be really good if you have an external system to integrate with for your data management and for your scripting. So this is also a good thing to mention. Then my last slide is maybe the most important one. And if we go and ask any stakeholder that uses DHIS what's most important to you, we 8 out of 10 times get an answer that is well encapsulated into the heading of this slide. You really care about stability and quality and fixing bugs. Kåre did also care about fixing bugs and shouted at us for old bugs. And although we still have 20 bugs from Kåre in here, the number is steadily declining. We are keeping our eyes on fixing our backlog. We are keeping our eyes on making the most impactful fixes first. We have made new mechanisms to figure out and go out and research what is the most important things we can do for you guys. What will have the biggest impact. We have really pride in investing in our foundations and making sure that this DHIS2 is stable and performant. And we reduce our code entropy. We make sure that our product is better and better from the very bottom. Sometimes we have to make changes that you will see in the upgrade steps as things you have to do or care about. We might change the API to make it more consistent, more consistently work across the whole platform. So do have a look at the upgrade notes. I'm going to mention this just one more time. Do that. See if there is anything relevant when you upgrade. And we are sorry for the times we have to put steps in there that requires you to do something on a manually on a main version upgrade. But this is a trade-off that we hope you appreciate. We are only doing this when it will provide better stability and more maintainable and faster code. That's the only time we do it, we promise. We promise also to pay you back with a more stable platform and less bugs. Thank you very much.
you go. Good morning. My name is David Kennedy, product manager at DHIS2, and I'm here to talk to you about some more of the behind the scenes parts of DHIS2, the configuration. So we're going to start off with how you get into DHIS2. This is the very important security feature we've added. We've had two-factor authentication for a while through the app, and now we've added the ability to have code sent to an email so that you can use two-factor authentication via email. This was strongly requested from the community. We've been looking for this for a while, so we're very happy to offer this now in 42. As a bonus feature, we've also added the ability to enforce unique email addresses. Before previously, you could have multiple email addresses on an account, use the same email address on multiple accounts. And now the admins have the option of enforcing unique email addresses for every single account. So that's a nice byproduct of having the two-factor authentication. We're trying a new way of doing demos. Instead of doing live demos, we're doing videos. So bear with me, we'll see what past me had to demonstrate this, but we're just showing the login procedure as normal. This user doesn't have two-factor authentication switched on, but simply going to their user profile, clicking verify email to make sure that that email is valid, coming back. There'll be a screen that you need to click. Obviously, if you're using the same screen, you can just click a link. That email is now verified, and then the user can go and choose to enable their email verification. Sometimes a refresh is necessary. This will send a 6-digit code. Everyone's quite familiar with this procedure. Paste the code in, and then the email authentication is turned on. I think the last part of this demo is just logging out, coming back to the screen, and you'll see that now this user has a prompt to add the authentication code. So it takes just a few seconds for each user to set it up, and we've got this new, more secure way of logging in. And next. All right. Next thing I want to talk to you about is the new maintenance app. This has been released over a couple of, we introduced this last release, but now in 42, we've got more and more features. It's a very big app. There's a lot of parts to it. So it's going to take us a little while to catch up. But in this version 42, we've got a lot of new areas added, new categories. Most of the aggregate data configuration is there. There's just data sets we're just finishing off in the next little while. And then all of the aggregate data information will be there. The important thing is this app is on continuous release. So even though we're announcing this as part of the version 42 release, during the year, we will be releasing new functionality. More of these sidebar elements will become enabled, and you'll be able to do more and more things with it. We're not just copying the old app to the new app. We are adding some new important functionality based on user requests. And one of those is the merge feature. So now you can take metadata elements that may be semantically the same, but have been entered in with slightly different names. Or if you're combining systems or importing metadata, sometimes you end up with duplicates. So a way of deduplicating that data is to merge it all together. And we can now do that through the user interface. So in this example, we're going to have a look at a category option. So you might have two category options that look the same. In this case, it's under 5 age group. So someone's put in, U5Y, another one, someone's put in under 5. We want to put those together. You select them both, click merge, select which one you want to keep and which one you want to remove. And this will not just delete the duplicate, but take all of the references from the metadata that you've decided to remove and move it over to the new one. So you don't lose any connections, everything's automatically updated. We've added a typing confirmation because this is a very, very critical function that if you get it a bit wrong, you can make some big mistakes. So it's something that you need to make sure you know what you're doing, but now you can quickly clean up those duplicates and go through. Still on the maintenance app. Clean metadata is always important. This is the big new feature I'm very, very happy to announce. Program indicated disaggregations. So some people will know exactly what this means and be very excited about it. Other people maybe will have to follow along a little bit. But program indicated disaggregations is an important step about combining your tracker data with your aggregate data. So you've got individually collected data in a lot of places, and you need to sometimes put that into the aggregate model. The way you would do this previously is have a lot of program indicators, one for each disaggregation category. So you could have hundreds of program indicators, which would become quite difficult to manage. This new feature, you can have one program indicator, map a category combination to that program indicator, and map the relationship between the individual data and each of those category options, and then apply that same mapping to multiple program indicators. And that will automatically disaggregate the information. So we've got a quick demo for this. Yes, very exciting. So this isn't part of only the new maintenance app, so you'll only be able to do this from version 42 on. So if you find the program disaggregation section in the new maintenance app, select the program that you want to map. This brings up the screen where you can see the program indicators, the disaggregation categories. You can also map attribute categories and disaggregate by them as well. So we're going to go through in this example. We're going to choose BMI. It's a program indicator. And you can see that gives you the option of choosing disaggregation category combinations. We'll go ahead and select a disaggregation category combination for gender and the under 5 age group. And this app automatically brings up the 2 categories associated with that category combination down the bottom. And we can say that we're going to add the mapping for each of those categories. So in this case, we want to use the same syntax as in the filter of a program indicator, so that you can, we recommend at the moment that you use the program indicator filter section, which has a more interactive expression builder, and then copy or paste it in here. So you put the equations in there, add the mappings for each of the category options. And then once that's saved, you only need to do the mapping for each category once. And then that's applied. So we're going to paste that in. We don't have the full expression builder, but what we do have is some validation on these fields. So if you do put in the wrong expression, it will tell you that, and you can say, I've got the equals on the wrong section, and have a little bit of help getting it right. Maybe it takes a couple of tries. Once that mapping's saved, that's all done. You can do multiple mappings. There's a lot of things you can do with this. There's a lot of extra ways you can expand it. I won't go into all of that detail now. There is a session on program indicator disaggregations Thursday at 11 o'clock with Jim. So I recommend everyone who's more interested in this to go along to that. And I'll just show the results, a couple of results. Once we've done that mapping, you can see that previously you would have multiple program indicators for each of those disaggregation categories, and then you'd render the data in the data visualizer. Now you can get rid of all of those program indicators, add just the one that we've done the mapping for, that base BMI program indicator, and now use the disaggregations on the side, like with aggregate data, add the categories, and it automatically disaggregates. So that's the end result. We're just starting to use this, where there's an example. I'm sure Jim's going to go into more detail, but the Ghana instance had 394 program indicators, and they're now, sorry, 594, sorry. Thought that sounded too much. Nearly 600 program indicators. Using this, they're now able to get that down to 27. So that's a massive difference in overhead. But it's not just the data visualizer. This is the last step I'll do. You can also add one data element. So sometimes you want to get the data from the tracker model into the aggregate model. So you can add one data element ID in that configuration, and then using the aggregate data exchange app, by mapping just that one program indicator to a data element that shares the same category combination, you just can run this import for any org unit and period that you want, and it will transfer that data across, so that data is now in the aggregate model, and you can use it with other aggregate data that's there. A very, very powerful feature. Again, I recommend Thursday morning getting to Jim's session to learn more about that. And the last thing I'll end on is the web app Android sync troubleshooting. This is a new app that we've added to help admin users find out what's going wrong when there's sync issues, both with Android and web. This list gives you a bunch of errors. You can sort it, you can filter it, you can search, so you can find out which user's having the problem, where it was, are they a web user, are they an Android user? You get a lot more information here so that the admins can narrow down what's going wrong with the sync and help it track it down and solve the synchronization problem. So again, for people that have this problem, it's a very big deal. For everyone else, that the admins are busy working to make their data sync perfectly. Maybe you won't notice this, but this will help a lot of headaches. So thank you very much. I'd like to hand over to Nancy.
Hello, can you hear me? Yes, perfect. My name is Nancy Espinosa, and Carolina and I will be walking you through the different improvements in the DHIS2 Collect, web and Android, for both aggregate and individual data. So let's start with the aggregate data. We have, now you can configure a numeric value type as a fraction of the days after submission, which means that you can add 0.5, and this is especially useful if you have a system where deadlines are tighter than a 24 hours period. So even though you think this is a smaller change, this is what we called a Kala feature, which is small change but with a big impact. So for, as you may know, since 41, we have been adding major improvements in the custom options for the forms in the data entry. So now for 42 and 3.2, we are able to add titles and subtitles for more clarity. You can place also instructional content before and after a section. You can do some pivoting, which includes you can transpose a full table, or you can choose a category, a specific category, and move it to a row. You can also choose between vertical and horizontal tabs, or disable grouping, which keeps the defined order of the data element, even though they share the same category combination. So I'm going to show you, this is a summary of the different versions and the different features that we have. For the form configurations, as you can see, for the Android app, everything is new in 3.2, supported in 3.2. But for the web data entry, it depends on the feature that you need. Disable grouping, it's available since 39. Then in 41, we have the transpo rows and the content before and after. And finally, in 42, we have the custom titles and subtitles and the render sections as steps. So I'm going to show you with this example, this is how data entry look, and this is how the Android app looks. And I'm going to show you how to configure the different options for customization. First, we have the custom title and subtitle. For that, you're going to the maintenance app, open the dataset, scroll down a bit, and then you'll find the add custom title and subtitle. As you can see, you have line start, center, and line end, which is the text alignment. And then after you choose the one that you need, I'm going to use the line start in my example. Then you add the title, and then you add the subtitle as you need them. Once you feel comfortable with what you have, then scroll down and save the changes. And this is the way it looks. As you see, they are both at the top before the content in the table, and you have the title and then the subtitle. For the content before and after, instead of going directly to the data set, you go to the manage sections, because this is done by section. In my example, I'm going to be using the immunization. So I open that, scroll down until you find the content before and after section. As you can see there, we have, there's a possibility to use HTML links and basic styling like bold or highlight, and there's my example. And as you can see, I started with some highlight, then with the link, and finally I ended up with the bold. And once you feel ready, then you saved it. And this is what you get for both data entry and the Android app. For the transpose, you go again to the specific section. You go to manage sections in the maintenance app. You select the section that you need. You scroll down and you'll find pivot options. You have 3 options: default, the pivot, which is the full transpose of the table, and then you have move a category to row, which in my example, I'm going to be using that with the location fixed and outreach. Then once you're ready, you saved it. And as you can see, we have moved one of the categories to a rows that is called the location, fix, and average, and left the nutrition age in the columns. And finally, the vertical and horizontal tabs. In this case, this applies to the whole data set. So you go in a maintenance app, you go to the data set, and then scroll down a bit until you find the feature called render section as tabs, and you can choose between horizontal or vertical. Horizontal is the default behavior of the Android app, and the vertical, as you will see in a moment, is something that you can now use in the Android app. And horizontal and vertical both work for the data entry in the web. So this is the way that it applies in data entry. And then in the Android app, to be able to see this type of layout, you need a bigger size screen, for example, a tablet. And then you need to rotate it and use it in landscape mode to be able to see the sections, vertical sections. Now let's move to individual level data. Starting with quick actions. The quick actions, the purpose of this feature is to make some of the workflows faster. The workflows that you can do is mark for follow-up, transfer, complete or cancel enrollments, or go to more enrollments. This means that we will be adding some chips in the track entity instance dashboard that you can access quicker than if you go to the three-dot menu, or if there's another option that you need to go to. So I'm going to show you quickly how you configure this. This is fully configurable in the Android settings web app, and by default, you won't have any of these chips in the track entity instance dashboard. So you go to Appearance, Program, and this is in a specific setting. You can add a program specifically. In my case, I'm going to edit the one that I have. By default, this is unselected, and as you can see, this is available from 3.2 and on. So the order of the chips that are going to appear in the track entity instance dashboard, it's the order that is in here, starting for mark for follow-up and finishing up with the more enrollments. In my example, I'm going to be using all of them. So I mark them, save them, and then save the whole configuration in the Android settings web app. If we move to the right side of the screen, you'll see the mobile device. You open any track entity instance, and you'll see the chips are there in the track entity instance dashboard. And you can be tapping in each of them. The mark for follow-up will open a bar, and then if you need to remove it, then you can remove it and the chip comes back. For the transfer one, that will appear only if you have a org unit different in the search, different from the capture ones. Then you can either complete, you can cancel the enrollment, or you can go to more enrollments to see all the different enrollments that track entity instance has. Then from now on, I'm going to be talking about some other improvements that they are not in 3.2, or let's say they are from 3.1, not new in 3.2. One of them is the navigation bar and the menus. As you can see, we have a more modern look. That's the idea, but not only that, it has bigger icons and bigger font size to make it more readable. Then we also have the responsive home screen, which the app will now adapt to the quantity of programs that the user has access to. This is up to 4 programs, and then if you have more than 4, then it will look like the list that we had before. We also have the relationship section, which now has been improved in a way that you'll see the list of related of all the relationship types available for the user. Instead of having the plus icon and then select, the idea is to make the workflow a bit faster. And once you have the list there, you tap on the plus icon, and then you select the track entity instead that you are trying to relate to. And there's also a redesign of the cards, and the idea is to align to the other cards that we have on the app. For the schedule new events, either if you're scheduling a new event or if you already have a scheduled event, we have new dialogues to make it easier either to reschedule, cancel, or enter the form. And finally, we have added the location accuracy. When you are capturing coordinates, this is in real time, and it's located at the bottom of the bar. And the admin user is able to disable the manual capture or set a minimum accuracy range for the user to capture the coordinate. And Also, when capturing coordinates, the user now has the possibility to access a search. They can either search for a specific location, or after searching a specific location, they can move around the map and search for a specific area. So for the rest on the capture improvements, I'll hand over to Caroline. So thank you for your attention.
You, Nancy, you can hear me? All right. Yeah, I get the pleasure of presenting some of the improvements in the web capture app. So let's get started with one feature that I think will be quite impactful. It's bulk operations on enrollments and events. So let's do a little video on that. So I'm starting on the front page list in the capture app. You see we've added some checkboxes next to the list. And so you could either decide to select all, or you can decide to select just a couple. So I'm choosing a couple, and you can see up here that it said 2 selected, and you can decide to either complete enrollments or delete enrollments. So let's try to complete enrollments. You get a dialogue that tells you how many that you are about to complete. You can also decide to mark the active events within the enrollment complete at the same time, or not. So that's a checkbox. That's totally voluntary. So then I've completed 2 of the enrollments. Let's also look at the other action, which is delete enrollments. So here, even though you can filter in the working list itself, we are also giving you the option here to decide if you only want to delete active, completed, or canceled enrollments. So there, we deleted that enrollment. So this functionality is also available for events in event programs and events within program stage working lists. So same complete and delete for now, at least. So now I just want to take you through a few quick UX improvements in the Capture app to kind of show how, as more and more people are moving over from Capture to Capture from Tracker Capture, we are continuously kind of iterating and making small improvements based on user feedback. So for example, we added a launch page, so you're not just met with a blank page. It's a nice little onboarding for users who are new to the app. We also have linked to the docs as well, and it's a similar view as a lot of the other apps. We also saw that we wanted to facilitate the navigation more in the app. That was one of the user feedbacks. So we added this breadcrumb bar. So basically, it both situates you in the app, and you're able to, all of the links are actionable, so you can click back from the front page list to throughout the enrollment and events. So, and if you have a working list with a name, that will be instead of the personal list there. So again, you really know where you kind of came from throughout the app. We also wanted to add organization unit contextualization. We know that there are a lot of organization unit with similar names. Maybe you have, a huge 40,000 organization unit tree, and you have access to a lot of them. You want to know where in the hierarchy it is. So any form or widget or working list where you have kind of entered the organization unit, you can hover and see the whole org unit hierarchy for that org unit. We also saw that, so in Capture app, the top kind of context selector is a really great way to get a snapshot of where you are with the program and organization unit, tracked entity, etc. But we saw that users it wasn't very intuitive to change the org unit of the event, for example, in that context selector. So we decided to just put the organization unit selector in the form as well to just make it much more intuitive for the users. The Capture app is one of the apps that also utilizes the new calendar component, which Austin will talk more about later. So again, you can enter or pick the date from the selector. There's month and year dropdowns, and as you can see, it also works for several non-Gregorian calendars. Then we have the changelog, which came into the Capture app from 41. We made some more improvements in 42. So for both the tracked entity and the event changelog, you can now sort by date, by user, or by data item, and you can also filter by data item if you only want to see changes to a specific data element or attribute, for example. And in the event changelog specifically, we've also added that you can see changes to the report date, the schedule date, and the geometry of the event. In the Capture app, some of you might also be aware that we've expanded a bit on what you would say is the referral use case in a way that you can now link events between two program stages. Same program, not different program yet. We always get that question. So, for example, the lab request and the lab result stage can be linked together. And we've been iterating on this. So, for example, now you have a kind of a two-event workspace where you see both events that are linked in one page. Also, the widget where you link these events are available in the registration page, in the view event, etc. And you can also unlink these events. And then another thing that we think will really help task management and follow-up is that you can enable a user assignment for a program stage. And now you can also filter by these assigned users in the program stage working list. All right, so I'm going to jump straight over to Analyze and talk about the things there. Let's start with the dashboard app. So one of the things we've done here is that we've updated the design a bit and improved the user experience in general. One of the things you see is with the dashboard bar it's kind of a single line and it's fixed. So even if you're scrolling down, you still know which dashboard you're on. You can still click filter or edit. You don't have to scroll back up. We've also moved the dashboards in kind of a drop-down list to the left, providing a bit of an easier way to search for the dashboards. And we've kind of updated the grid a bit, again, just to really make use of all the screen space to show the important data. Another exciting thing is that we've added a dashboard slideshow or full screen. So you have a slideshow button in the dashboard app, and you can use either the arrows on the navigation bar or the keyboard arrow keys to move back and forth. Any filters that are applied will be displayed in the navigation bar. And again, often the first comment we get here, can we have autoplay? A little bit of sneak peek, we're working on that, so that will be also around soon. Also, very exciting to announce that we're now supporting displaying external dashboard types through the dashboard app. So you can add external dashboards and they will sort of look the same and be displayed next to the other standard DHIS2 dashboards. So the first one we are doing is and supporting is Superset, using a connector contributed by BAO Systems. And in the future, we are thinking of expanding this to other potential types. So it would be very interesting to hear from you what other kind of tools you would want to see in the dashboard app to continue to strengthen DHIS2 as a central point for a variety of data sources and dashboards. Let's now move over to the data visualizer app and option set counts. So I will again show a demo. So you'll see in the data item selector that any event data item with an option set have gotten this icon next to it. So you can click there to choose the options. You can still also decide to move the whole event data item. But if you click there, which past me took a lot longer to get to, you get to see all the options that are available. And you can decide to select just a few like you do with other data items. So one thing to note is that, option sets have aggregation type none when it's the kind of the text value type. So you have to actually go in and override it with an aggregation type. So I'm doing count. So now you see that the options selected in March 2025 for community health workers and radio and school are these numbers. And this is a really great, again, David also showed some program indicator improvements, but this is also a great way to not have to make so many program indicators, or if you don't have access to make program indicators. So I'm just showing these pre-configured program indicators for the same options, just to show that the numbers are the same. So again, good way to not have to make so many. I believe, yes. Then another improvements within the data visualizer is that we've added this data definitions. We've added this this little I button, and you can also see what kind of data type it is. So if you click this this I button, you will get to see a lot of things that are relevant for that specific data type. So this will vary per data type. So for example, for indicators, this is a great way to remind yourself or get familiarized with what is actually the numerator expression or the denominator expression, and any other things that you might be interested in. And then you could even, you know, decide to kind of drill down into those data, not drill down from this, but you can search for it again, and then, you know, go into the data element and learn more. So this is a really nice way for users to get to know their data. And again, if they don't have access to maintenance or don't want to go into maintenance, to see how this was configured. So again, here you see there's different things for data elements, including category combos that you can drill down on, etc. So hope this will also be a very valuable way of the users just knowing what data they're looking at and using that for data use. And then I'm going to move on to the next analytics app and last one for now, which is a few of the maps improvements. So one of the things we've done is we're really trying to align the maps app with the other analytics apps in the way that we're using components and getting the users familiar with, you know, how that looks. And so one of the things we've done is we've added the same period component into maps. So now you can, you know, use a combination of fixed and relative periods. You can choose multiple periods. The start and end date uses the calendar component. And we've also improved a bit this kind of period display mode. You can see with the icons. And also this will give you a bit more guidance on what you should choose. Like if it's disabled, it'll tell you, oh, you need to only choose one period, you need to choose more than one period, etc. So we hope that will also help user experience. Some other just functional and general UX requirements, you can now choose a combination of org unit groups, org unit levels, and the user org unit. This is actually in all the analytics apps. And you can show calculations in the Maps app. You still have to create them through the data visualizer, but if you created it, you can show them here. We also have added support for enrollment location. It's currently in the event layer. So basically, you map the events and the associated information when you, for example, click a point, but you utilize the coordinate that was captured during enrollment. This is me. And the last one is the maps, the kind of layer catalog. So basically, we were adding a lot of more Earth Engine layers and data, and maybe not all of it is relevant for your implementation. So you're able to just kind of check or uncheck and decide like what layers your user should have access to. All right, it's time for Austin.
You should be able to hear me. Yes, great. Hi, everyone. We're a little bit behind, so I'm going to try to move a little bit quickly, but not too quickly, through the very exciting new features that we have related to extending DHIS2. So I'm very excited to present this for the first time as kind of its own category as well. It's something that's been underlying a lot of the work that's gone into DHIS2 and DHIS2 being a platform that needs to be adapted and customized and configured and extended to be useful in local contexts for a very long time. But we have a real focus, strategic focus on making sure that we build the fundamentals and the tools that people need to be able to do that. So I'll be showing here a bit of the tip of the iceberg in that famous diagram, where this is what the user sees when they're interacting with DHIS2 and the features that everyone will be able to experience in DHIS2. But there's a lot of other work that goes on in building the developer tools and building the documentation for developers and people to build extensions, the community of developers that are out there that we engage with. And we're building some reference implementations, for example, for things like org unit sync. And I encourage you to join our developer meetups if you're interested in learning more about that, as well as there's a session tomorrow called, I believe it's Fantastic Developer Tools and Where to Find Them. So just to start off, pointing out a few extension points that we have in DHIS2. You've been able to add dashboard plugins for a long time, but we've updated the mechanism that goes into how you build those, added the ability to develop dashboard plugins in the app platform, as well as to build apps that have plugins with them. So previously you had to build a plugin and separately build an app, and then you had to make sure that the versions were in sync and that they knew how to talk to each other. Now an app or an extension that you install in the DHIS2 can have both an application and a plugin. And this is just one of many extension points that we have in DHIS2. We've also added recently 2 and soon 3 extension points in the Capture app to be able to expand the ability to enter data as well. And there'll be more coming soon that I'll talk about. Carolina mentioned the calendar component. So this is a generically available component that's very easy to use, but under the hood, it uses a lot of new native browser technology to support multiple calendars, particularly Ethiopian and Nepali calendars, but others as well. Supports right to left, and also just for the majority of people that are using this for Gregorian date input, it also has an easier way to select dates so hopefully should improve the experience for entering dates even if you're in the Gregorian calendar. And that's available to all applications and also is already being used in the Capture app, as Carolina mentioned. This one's a little bit under the hood, but we have a route API, which is a very powerful way to utilize DHIS2 for authentication and authorization in order to talk to other services that might be running in your infrastructure, to be able to secure access to other things that you're using that are server-side extensions. And we've added several new authentication schemes or authorization schemes to the Routes API so that it can talk to different types of backend services. For a long time, we've had basic authentication and DHIS2 API tokens to talk to other DHIS2 instances. And we've now added custom headers as well as query parameters, backported those also to versions 40 and 41. And pretty exciting, in 42, we have the ability to do OAuth 2 client authentication with those backend services, which is something that is very often set up for services in government infrastructures, for example. In addition, we've created an application that's available on the App Hub. So this is not bundled in DHIS2 42, but you can go to the App Management app and find this by searching on the App Hub for Route Manager. And this is just an interface for managing the routes that you have configured in your system. It's been an API-only feature for a little while, but this also shows the power of being able to quickly create new custom apps. We built this in a few months and released that on the App Hub so that everybody can use it. If you're using version 40, version 41, you also have Routes API available there. You can also download this app and install it and use it there. We also have a new app that is bundled in 42 for managing the data store, which is a flexible key value store that's available to applications that are installed into DHIS2. And we've had an application to visualize the data that's in the data store for a while, but it got very outdated and had needed a lot of updates. So we've added a new application that really updates the look and feel and makes it easy to manage that information. It also now supports not only the global data store, which is shared between all the users in the DHIS2 instance, but also the user data store, which is specific to an individual user. And it supports sharing, which is an important feature within the data store to be able to take a specific key and share it with only certain users or user groups within the system, which is very important for security when you're building an application and you want only certain users to maybe to be able to edit the configuration of that application, but all users to be able to read it. This is also very exciting, and there's a session specifically on this later this afternoon. I encourage you all to join my colleague Johan, who will be presenting that. This is also available on the App Hub, so you can go to the App Management app, search for Fire IG Generator app, and install this into your system. Most of you probably are familiar with Fire, and DHIS2 itself doesn't have a Fire API natively available, but your configuration or your metadata in DHIS2 is very useful when you're talking to other systems. So what this IG Generator app does is it allows you to export the metadata for a particular tracker program in your DHIS2 instance and create a Fire implementation guide that you can then use to expose or share that information with other systems that you might want to talk to. This is the beginning of a kind of a Fire roadmap that we have around making it easier and easier to interoperate with other systems in a complex architecture. Additionally, on the App Hub, I mentioned the App Hub a few times, we've added a few very useful new features, including being able to include change logs or what has changed with a new version of a particular application. So as more and more applications are on the App Hub, even core apps have new versions all the time. It becomes useful to be able to see what has actually changed between the version that I have installed and the version that is newly available. So you can see all of that now, and there's a mechanism to automatically pull that from the GitHub repository for developers to make it easy as well. And then Marcus mentioned the global app shell. This is a really exciting kind of culmination of along many years of work. But what this does is gives finally DHIS2 instance a single global interface to be able to interact with it. So instead of every app taking over the entire screen and showing different header bars and different ways to navigate through the system, you have one way when you use the global app shell in your application or in your DHIS2 instance. You have one interface, one header bar, one apps menu that is always available no matter where you are in DHIS2. You can access the navigation through the keyboard and navigate through the keyboard as well. And this also means that developers don't need to worry about this in their own applications. So it will be automatically available and standardized, and developers don't need to worry about it. So that also opens up some new opportunities for different technologies to be used in applications as well. And a part of that global app shell is a new apps menu, which Marcus also mentioned. This is a revamped version of the apps menu that we've had for a long time. It, as I mentioned, is fully keyboard navigation compatible, so you can navigate exclusively with your keyboard without needing to use your map for the power users. We also call this the command palette because you'll see there's more than just apps that are showing up here. Long time ago, there was the ability to navigate to different sections of the maintenance app, which people really loved. That was taken away for a number of different reasons, and that is now back. So you can search for shortcuts to sections within the maintenance app, finally. And the way we've done that is also opens that up to every other app in the system. So other apps can also expose shortcuts, which automatically become available to navigate to from anywhere in DHIS2, no matter which application you're running, because of the global app shell and this new app management app, app menu. And finally, we'll talk a little bit more about this in the session tomorrow, and maybe a bit on Friday as well, I'm not sure. Commands are coming as well. So this is another extension point, another way to extend not a specific app or not a specific place in a specific app, but your entire DHIS2 instance to be able to make commands available to every user in the system, no matter what app they're in. And I will wrap up there for Extend and pass it over to Kristen for climate what's new in DHIS2.
Again. So this is the new girl in town. Huh? So since she's so new, Max had to do an update. Oh, already finished with update. Okay. So this is, yeah. Okay, so this is just a teaser because tomorrow we will have a plenary going into depth of the new innovations when it comes to climate and health. So what I would like to just give a bit of an update on is that now we have heard all about the DHIS2 platform. We have all this data available, all these analytic tools, data collection tools and everything. So what can we do if we also get the climate, environmental and weather data available? What can we then do? So we have made a digital tool to fetch those data. And when we have those two data sources, what can we then do if we combine it in using AI and machine learning to be able to predict, to be able to assess, train the models, share the models, and learn how can we then use that customized in the countries? How can we build that capacity in the countries? So what we have done, I just want to start with the end. In a way, there's no pointer here. You see the box here. You see the CHAP modeling platform. We have the data analytics. We have the health data. We have the climate app. Then we have, through the modeling app, we have visualization data input, data output in order to be able to combine the data of the health and the climate. And then we have this one outside, the CHAP modeling platform, where we actually do, we have done through the last year, we have everything we have learned from making a platform for innovative platform as DHIS2, we do the same for modeling. We have made a customizable, open source, open configurable, totally agnostic to models that can be used in countries to be able to assess what model will suit my health program best in my country, based on learning from other countries. And we will also is a collaborative platform so that other modelers in the world can stop only do pilotitis for having cool paper publications. They can actually do impact in the countries. So they have an arena to be able to share their models in a software platform that are then used for that purpose. So this is what we will tell more about tomorrow. But then what about these apps? We are leveraging the existing scaled DHIS2 system. We are aiming for global digital public goods. So all this is globally available. So all these 77 or hundreds of countries that have DHIS2 can utilize these tools in the app stores. We will then explore all this, what we can do with weather and climate and environmental data. And as we know, there's so many unknowns. So this is actually a research project. But while we do, how do we do research? We do action research, meaning we actually do real pilots in countries to learn and to share. That we'll talk a bit about. And then, of course, integrate this with AI and put that power into the countries. Next slide. So this climate app, probably you have heard about it. It's pretty powerful. It has 4,000 installations in the DHIS2 instances since April. So this is a way of on the fly, as you go, real time, can fetch climate data and harmonize it into the DHIS2 from each organizational unit you have in DHIS2 and provide an analytic tool for data triangulation wherever you are. Clinic, community, regionally, nationally. It's using the ERA 5 data sources, but any global data set can be used in this machine. I call it, oh, this is a new. This is the harmonization machine. I just want to tell you that one because it's very important. Because climate data is not gridded. We need to grid it so it's useful in the DHIS2. Climate data is useful for many things, World Health Program and everything. But for us to make it useful and harmonized into DHIS2, it needs to be harmonized and gridded into the polygon of the org unit in DHIS2. That is what this app is actually doing. So then we can use any global data set existing to be harmonized into the DHIS2. And that's pretty powerful on that global digital public good platform used by so many countries. So what's new in the climate app? I just wanted to tell you about the climate app before I say what's new in the climate app. So all these new data sets are now available. Heat stress, rainfall with shrips, which is turned out to be much better than ERA 5 in many countries. We use the CHAP platform to assess which of these precipitation data sources are best for my country. Some countries is ERA 5, other countries is shrips. Like in Uganda, for instance. Elevation, super important for Ethiopia and Nepal, and others, of course. Nepal, talking of which, our pilot of 10 countries having a design, and in Nepal, the design is for dengue outbreak, monitoring and prediction. We have then 4 districts, lowland, hillland, mountainland, and urban. The first dengue cases came in 2004. The first outbreak was in 2006. And now it's going up to the hill, to the mountain, and it's very climate sensitive. So that's why this is a very interesting use case for us, among the other interesting use cases. Okay, so then we have vegetation index, of course, and land cover is super important when it comes to mosquito breeding and so forth. New functionalities you can see here. You will hear more tomorrow. This is a teaser. And then we have the modeling app. Modeling app is actually the output and the visualization for the CHAP modeling platform. So this is what you see in the App Store. That's what you see in the DHIS2, in the analytics. This is the analytics. So here, I just want to show, here you can actually see that you can actually assess 2 different models side by side in a country. This is raw data. And every Thursday, we have all the 10 countries, we have a common meeting. We had a demo, we had a discussion. Oh, we would like to have these timelines sliding, not like going like this, but sliding. That was Thursday. Monday in the Climate Health Conference, that was fixed. So a new release in the modeling app was done on Monday with this functionality that you see here now. So that's new. That's how we work here, agile. Responsive to countries. So this app is the one thing we want to show here is actually how do you train that model? You take 3 months back in time, so you know actually the results. That's how to assess the trained model. And then you train the model of all the data you have, the time period, the data sources, whatever. And then you see, oh, what is the prediction for the next 3 months? And you're standing then there 3 months back, so you know the real cases. And then you see this, the blue is the prediction, the bluest, and then the probability is 50%, the next bluish, and then the lightest is the 20% probability. And then you see how does it perform? Does it fit the purpose or does it not? So this is for assessment, because the first thing you need to do is to assess. So these 10 countries are the pilot countries that we start with. We were asked to do 3 to 5 and said, you know, that's not the HISP way of working. We do a healthy competition. Who move fastest? We don't know. We don't know who's actually able to run. And everyone is able to run, so you see here. So this is kind of the exploration that finished, installed in the country test instance, in production, not to scale. And of course, we need to save something to invest in when it comes to scaling. So we have the climate app and we have also the CHAP modeling tool. So what we do, we build capacity on modeling also in countries. We see that's super important to liaison with the local universities. We are training every Thursday. We have meetings with trainings, discussions on the modeling, and we had the workshop last week. It's actually last week, yeah. So this will be continued. Here you can see actually how you can select your model, and then you can fly with it and customize it to your own, and it will be, you can name it your own model, Rwanda model or Ethiopia model. Okay, so plenary tomorrow. Parallel session with the climate app in the detail, 11. And then the parallel session on the CHAP modeling platform and a modeling app at 3. And then we have the expert lunch where we really invite you to come along with us and work on this one together. Thank you. This one, sorry.
How about now? Yes, great. It's good. It's good. It's good. It's working. Thank you. Okay, so I have the pleasure now of introducing the competition finalists for our app competition this year. As most of you know, we have an app competition every year, and we have many great submissions from across the community. It's really, really hard to choose the finalists to present to all of you. This year, these are some of the criteria that we use. We had more than 20 really impressive finalists, submissions that we had to choose from for the 3 finalists that you'll see in just a minute. Generally, we're looking for things that are open source, available to everyone, generically applicable, useful and impactful, important to you take into consideration security and privacy as well when you're building applications that could be interacting with very sensitive data. And bonus points, so this is not a requirement, but bonus points if you make use of the tools that are available in DHIS2. So the API is something that pretty much everybody uses, but also the app platform, the Android SDK, Camel components, different tools that we have available for the platform of DHIS2. We'll see more, you'll see video presentation from each of the 3 finalists in just a moment. You can learn more about all of these apps also on the Community of Practice. We'll be posting the voting on the Community of Practice. I'll talk more about that in a minute. But also you can reach out. I believe each of the finalists will be posting their own posts, so you can ask questions or dive a little bit deeper into each of the applications that are shared. And you can also come to the If You Dream It, You Can Do It session tomorrow to learn a little bit more about all these finalists, as well as some other innovators that are building on top of DHIS2 as a platform. So without further ado, let's meet our 3 finalists. They are the ArcGIS Connector app by Esri, the AI Insights app by IFRC, and Flexi Portal by HISP Tanzania. And we'll jump right into 3 videos to see the 3 of them, and then I'll tell you more about the voting process. So I have to figure out how to do this. Here we go. So there you had the ArcGIS connector app from Esri. You can learn more about that again tomorrow at the session. And now we will have the AI Insights app.
Or select from the pre-configured suggested chart. This is tailored for single organization unit or multi-organization. In this case, I'll select which organization units are performing best and worst. Set. Here, this is going to be streaming information from open before. And once this is done, then you have the option to download the report in HTML and save this report as a PDF or print. Now let's go back to AI Insights again. So the way this works is that AI requests a question, pulls data from DHIS2, and responds to the plain language summary. And here you can also gather your visualization, view your visualization. And here you're able to print things tied up. And you can copy and paste this into your report. And you also have the option to use the table. View the data in the table form. AI Insights is flexible, supports both OpenAI's GPT model and also local along deployments. To set it up, click on Settings. And here I'm currently using OpenAI's GPT-4, but I can also select along to be able to use the local large language model. And this will run completely offline. And this is really ideal for low networking environments or privacy-sensitive environments. So now I can take along, and I have my along server URL. Okay. Click right from there, and click along server again. And here I have different models that I loaded into my computer. And I will select Save Settings and go back to AI Insights. You'll now see that I have along the latest version. This app supports aggregated data, events data, market program, indicators, and program indicators. It enables users to detect trends, analyze anomalies, and generate comparative insights all through their language interface. So whether you imagine program or programs, support field teams, or prepare reports, AI Insights for DHIS2 turns complex data to fast and actionable research. Thanks again.
In order to send DHIS2 to the public, there are multiple public portals. To develop these portals, money, time, and the need for large teams of implementers and developers is being required. That's why Tanzania has built the DHIS2 Flexi portal, a ready-to-use, fully customizable public portal that makes sharing DHIS2 data as simple as clicking titles. Flexi portal includes two key parts: a sleek web portal for public access and DHIS2 manager application that lets you control and configure everything, all without writing a single line of code. With Flexi portal, you can get a public portal, reset, deploy, configure, and publish, all being done in just a matter of minutes. Pages such as adding or removing modules, changing layouts, and updating the feed can be done effortlessly with just a click. Isn't that impressive? Flexible ways you can set up towards all DHIS few visualizations like charts, maps, and tables, like clear documents and display text and static content like announcements or info tables, all being search engine optimized and mobile friendly right out of the box. With Flexi Portal, you are able to rebuild your Tanzania portal themselves, something that used to take months. That's the power of DHIS2 Flexi Portal, making data accessible easily. Flexi Portal turns months of work into a day, securely unlocking the power of DHIS2 to the public, where data doesn't just sit in dashboards, it flies real world to me. To get a live demo to this amazing innovation, you can scan these QR codes to a sample web portal and DHIS2 instance hosting your portal manager. For more information and questions, reach out to us through info@tanzania.org.
So I hope you enjoyed that quick teaser of these 3 applications. They are all available. Also, those same videos are available on the Community of Practice, which has been posted just moments ago. You can follow the link in this QR code here or search on the Community of Practice. The voting will be open for the rest of the week. It will close at noon on Friday, and we will announce the winners in the closing session with the other awards. So happy voting. Please reach out and also join our sessions tomorrow to learn more about these applications and others that are built on top of the platform. Thank you very much.
All right. And thanks. That was a great session. We have one more thing to do before lunch. The instructions are, we're all going to go out as a group to the steps that are right under the banner that you all saw as you were coming to the building. I'm going to take a group photo. That should take around 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and then you can proceed across the plaza to lunch. When you go to lunch, it's important to have your badge on. This is how we'll know who is getting lunch today. So just remember to bring this with you. All right, so let's all move out and get a group photo taken, and then we can go to lunch.